All right, so today we are doing the front wheel bearings on the 98 GT. As you can see, I was attacked by a bird right there. Look at that. Oh my God, I can't believe it. We'll take care of that too. But the only things I could get in my area were these Master Pro wheel bearings here. If you take a look, got them in the trunk. Got new axle nuts, got 2 of them. Had to go to the store and grab a socket 2 that fit, 36mm sockets. And we'll come back with an update as we move this thing along. Haven't even got the car up in the air yet. How can you tell if you need a new wheel bearing? Well, let me show you real quick. I've actually had a couple people reach out to me about wobbles in their vehicles and you know, just noises. And sometimes, you know, these wheel bearings can go out and really not even have much of a noise. Like on this Mustang here, really no noise, but you could tell when it grabs the grooves on the freeway and it just yanks your steering wheel. But you just jack it up, secure the vehicle. I have it secured right here under the spring seats is where I like to put it on these. I keep the wheel up off the ground. You could just grab it, kind of give it a shake. Okay, yeah, definitely a loose wheel bearing. Start at the top, go side to side as well. Let's check the other side. This one as well. Start at the top. Doesn't seem to be as bad, but I could definitely still, if I had both hands here, I could definitely feel the play. Oh yeah, especially side to side. You can even hear it. So new wheel bearing is going on this, and subscribe and we'll go ahead and create a video on how to tackle this as well. Thanks. Okay, so today we are going to replace the wheel bearing assembly, both front wheel bearing assemblies on this 98 Mustang GT. We got to start by removing the entire caliper assembly. We also need to remove the speed sensor, the ABS sensor here. And we need to remove the rotor, and then there should just be a few bolts that will hold the entire hub onto the steering knuckle, and we'll take those bolts off and it should pop right off. We should pop this out here as well. There's a 36mm axle nut that we'll have to get that taken off, as well as put brand new ones on. They advise to get new axle nuts anytime that you do these. So we'll come back with a follow-up as we're a little bit further along. Okay, now we have the caliper assembly off. Instead of taking it apart, 2 different pieces, which you can do, I just undid these 2 bolts. They're 15mm bolts bolted to the back of the knuckle here, just like so. So now we get to undo these little things here and get the rotor off, and then we'll go ahead and attack this little plastic thing and pull the axle nut off, and hopefully everything will go smooth for us. You know, thankfully this is not, you know, completely rusty. It's a little dirty, you know, 1998 vehicle, but it's actually in pretty good shape. So we'll be back with some more updates. All right, we got the rotor off. That was pretty quick and easy with those little flimsy tabs. Once you get a hold of them, you could pretty much just hand thread them off. Now we're going to go ahead and tackle this. We got the little cover off. Just prying that with a little flathead screwdriver. Just got it popped out, easy as pie. And now we're going to go ahead and hit the axle nut, and hopefully that comes off easily. Kind of like so. All right. I'm not mad at that. And just like that, this slides right off. We'll go ahead and put the new one on. We'll clean up this surface, which is actually fairly clean, but we'll go ahead and clean it up. We'll throw thin film of grease on there and get it back together. Okay, we are ready to get this thing put on there. Got that surface all cleaned up, got a layer of grease on there, probably more than I should have. Just went with some stuff I had laying around the shop. There was some wheel bearing, brake disc grease, you know, things like that. It's worked pretty good. I've packed wheel bearings with it before. Of course, these you don't need to pack them. They come as a sealed unit. And they slide right on. Sorry about the camera. Just like so. And now the only play I'll have is in these really horrible SR Performance struts that when I bought them brand new, I put them on and I had this little shift in the strut. You can see it, but that'll be another day. The wheel bearings most definitely were gone. We got it up there. Look at that, looking great. Let's get the nut on and get everything put back together, and then we'll do the other side. Important note, hang your brake caliper assembly. Don't let it hang by the brake line itself, because that's a recipe for disaster. Last thing you want is going down the road and needing to come to a stop quick and have one of these things explode on you. You'll have a very bad day. All right, I'm back. I'm about ready to put the caliper back on. Couldn't believe I was out of some thread locker, and I noticed these things had some thread locker kind of up high in the threads, and really it doesn't even hit where it's going to thread into. So we want to put the thread locker lower down on the bolt, and we're going to clean that up real quick. Some cobwebs and stuff. We'll clean this up before we're going to put that on. I can't put that on being dirty like that, but we'll be right back. Another good idea before putting the rotor back on is to coat the back of it a little bit with some anti-seize, especially if you live somewhere where it is very rusty. You know, you get a lot of salt in the air or salt from the roads, things like that. You just want to coat a little bit of anti-seize on here. It'll make it a lot easier to get this rotor off when it comes time to replace them, or, you know, God forbid, do wheel bearings again. And there we go. Everything's put back together, torqued down. This is about 250 pounds. I didn't have a torque wrench. I'm about 250 pounds, and I put everything I had into that. And I'm a pretty strong guy, so I'm sure it is at 250 pounds or a little more. But I'm happy with it. Everything turns just fine. And once I get wheels on here, finish up the other side, take it for a test drive, we'll know a lot better how everything's coming together. But this should be perfect. And I cleaned everything up as well. There's no use putting dirty stuff back together. So clean it up. Don't forget to use Loctite or some type of thread locker on the bolts to mount the caliper assembly. You also want to use a little bit of anti-seize on the mating surface on the back of this. Sometimes, you know, anti-seize isn't even a horrible idea on this side of things, against the wheel as well. But other than that, she's ready to get a wheel back on, and I'll get to the other side. Now we're on to the driver's side of things here. Gonna get the caliper assembly off, the two 15mm bolts, one here, one there. Then we are going to pop this dust cover off. I'm going to take these little things off of here, pull the rotor off completely, and we'll end up getting the axle nut. And again, just repeat the steps from the passenger side. This should go a little bit quicker. I'll have probably a couple less updates since you already saw one side. It's the exact same for the other. And again, this isn't in too bad of shape. It's not so rusty. I will tell you, these, I guess that's actually a tight strut, but these SR Performance struts, I got mine brand new out of the box back in 2019, and I mean the passenger side was faulty right out of the box, but I just put it on because I didn't have anything else, and ended up having you know, an expansion of family, another child, and this thing sat in the garage for 4 years. So we are getting back to this thing. Gonna make it something that everybody's gonna want to drive, especially me, because I'm the one driving it. You know, I've got plans coming up for new parts, new bushings, new sway bars. We're gonna do all control arms, the K-member. We might do something with the steering mechanism. We might change that out. I'm really not a big fan for the power steering on this, the rack and pinion, so we might look at other options there. When I'm able to and I have the money, we're going to do a full coilovers, as well as subframe connectors going all the way back. We'll do the exhaust. So my goal for this channel is to literally take you with me along as we make this thing a mean machine. Stay tuned. All right, just like that, we've got everything new on there. New wheel bearing assembly. Got everything cleaned up the caliper, cleaned up some of the parts on the control arm. I can tell I'm gonna need new ball joints, but I'm waiting to just do the control arms because it's a lot easier to just pull the control arms out and do it all at once than trying to mess with just that ball joint. So I figure that's how we'll get that done. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the tires on here, lower it back down, and take it for a ride. My wheels are on, test drive is complete. So much more responsive, and it doesn't grab the grooves in the road nearly as bad. So call that a success.